What up guys, Supermetal983 here bringing us another digital review, and not only one digital review, but two digital reviews I've got for you, and this is for the new Xanthochroid albums entitled Of Erthe And Axen Act 1 and Act 2. Now obviously in this video, as you can read by the title, we will be reviewing the first part, which is kind of the lighter side, but we'll get to that more as the video progresses. But we're going to talk a little bit about Xanthochroid anyway. Xanthochroid is a kind of progressive, melodic black metal band, I believe hailing from California in the US, and yeah, they play a very kind of cinematic, captivating and very epic style of progressive black metal. So if you're into bands such as Obliviscaris, maybe even Emperor, and also kind of the cinematics and atmospheres that the likes of Dimmu Borgir can create, if you're into those type of bands, then you really need to check these guys out. And also, I might as well add, if you're into Opeth, you will love these guys. These are progressive masters, if you ask me. Now, we're going to start off a little bit back in time. When I first got introduced to the band was through my own band, Erebor. When we met up one time, we were discussing about bands that they were listening to and stuff that inspired them and stuff like that. This was before my interview I'd done with them. And yeah, they introduced me to the likes of Obliviscaris and Persephone, another great progressive extreme metal band. Make sure you check them out. And one of the bands amongst the lot was Xanthochroid, and I couldn't remember the name because I couldn't remember how to fucking pronounce it at the time. But I remember like them saying about this band called Xanthochroid or what have you, and I honestly was a bit skeptical because back in the day I was pretty skeptical about checking out new bands. I kind of was in that kind of phase of like, I had to find something for us to like it, you know, that childish way I was. But nevertheless, I trusted these guys and I went out and checked out this band, and I checked out specifically their debut album called Blessed He With Boils. It's a green album cover, very beautiful album cover, and I have to say I was mighty impressed from the moment I hit this album on, and I was really impressed with the musicianship, the progressiveness, the atmospheres, and the whole like instrumentation and musicianship that was going on. I felt this was just such a solid release, and something that it was like in the deepest, darkest parts of the world of metal that no one's fucking heard of them, and I was like, why has no one heard this shit? This musicianship is up there with the likes of Opeth and Dimmu Borgir when it comes to compositions and what have you. So I was mighty impressed, and I was like, I need to get this on CD, and unfortunately it's sold out of those copies. So one day I will end up picking up a copy of that album. But ever since I checked out that album, like most people, I'm craving more from this band, and I was like, what is Xanthochroid? To my band, I was like, is Xanthochroid going to bring out another album? And then my guitarist in my band, Matt, who you saw in my Trivium review, said, oh, they are working on a new album. And then a couple of months have passed, quite a few months have passed, and then I was like, are they ever going to release this album? And then he also told us that, nope, they're going to make it a double album now. And I was like, you're shitting me. And he was like, nope, 2-part album. And I was like, this is going to be absolutely amazing. And I kind of saved myself a little bit, I'm not going to lie. I saved myself because I wanted to experience the album in full. I didn't want to listen to any singles leading up to it. I just wanted to hear the album and just be encapsulated and overwhelmed with what was coming from Xanthochroid. I'd heard him, my guitarist, listen to a few other tracks, and it was like, oh, it's gonna be good. And I was just getting so much excitement. And then Xanthochroid were, just before the first album, Act 1, was due to be released, they were looking for people to review the album before release, and unfortunately I didn't get there in time because loads of bits and pieces came up and I kind of got distracted. But needless to say, I applied and I was like, I need to hear this album and encapsulate it and put my thoughts out there and hopefully promote this band a little bit more, because I feel like they deserve a lot more promotion than they are getting. I might as well also point out, and I'll point out probably in the next one, I have ordered the double disc set of the album on CD because I would really love to have it in my collection. But yeah, so hopefully that'll appear in updates and purchases at some point. But on to the album. The two-part albums are split into what is described as like the more aggressive album and the little sophomore album. And we are going to be talking about that first one. Now, this album, I am not kidding you, and this may not surprise you in the slightest, I was floored when I first heard it. I was like, this is fucking amazing. This is the most incredible sounding progressive black metal album I have heard all year. Like Obliviscaris' album is really good, but it's nothing on this album or Act 2, but I'll get to Act 2 and I'll keep on referring to that. But Act 1 is a perfect, and I keep on saying this, cinematic. This is a cinematic album. This, in my perspective, encapsulates it's as if a black metal soundtrack or progressive black metal soundtrack to what a movie would be. That's what it's like listening to this album. It's like a soundtrack that you have to listen from start to finish and be encapsulated and very intrigued by what is going on. But I have to say though, the musicianship is another level on this album. This album is amazing. It fills you up with so much atmosphere, so much feels, and that's a term that I use quite a lot. But I love an album that actually hits us in the feels, especially when it becomes when it's a progressive kind of album. It has to serenade us, it has to soothe us in a way, but still have that little metal edge, just reminding you there that it's still a metal album. And this part one is definitely one of those soothing cinematic albums. It's very picturesque. I love a good picturesque album, and to me, this album is just, like as I said, a perfect blend of something that you would listen to just to, if you're not in the mood for kind of like a movie or anything, you can just stick part one on and just listen to it and just be serenaded, just close your eyes and just feel like a story kind of unfold in your mind listening to this album, like as if you would, like a storybook, for example. That's the way I encapsulate this album, and I think it's absolutely amazing. The drum work is really fucking good, really technical drumming, but very fast when it needs to be. There's some really tight blast beats in there that really pick up in mind of the likes of the atmospheres and the drum work, kind of put in perspective of the likes of Wintersun's Time 1, for example. That kind of cinematic, intense but epic sound to it that only Xanthochroid can create. Like, for what Wintersun is done with Time 1 is one thing, but what Xanthochroid with what they are doing with the album of Fire, of Earth and Fire. Of Erthe and Axen, sorry, I think I'm getting it all wrong. Yeah, of Erthe and Axen, Act 1, it just creates that kind of beautiful sense of serenadiness that you would get on the sophomore parts of say a Wintersun album or an Opeth album, but it still has that black metal edge and epic black metal edge that you would find with the likes of Angeran, for example, Obliviscaris and Dimmu Borgir, all that encapsulated into one. The guitar tone is very rich tone. It's very sweet, but very clean. The guitar work is absolutely phenomenal on this album, and same for the bass work. The musicianship on this album is at another level compared to a lot of releases that have come out in 2017. There's been some great albums from metal in general, to narrowing it down to the subgenre of progressive metal. But when you look at all the albums that have come out, I think Xanthochroid is up there with some of the best, in my opinion. But they're not talked about amongst the best. But when people know about them, they are talked amongst the best because they are phenomenal musicians. And this album definitely proves it with this Act 1. Obviously, the cinematics added with the ambience and the like classical influences across this album, that definitely give it that bit more depth and a bit more creativity to it, that gives it that bit more openness, that kind of, you could say it really just broadens a lot more horizons, opens up the sound, literally opens it up, like if you had no cinema, it would just be just the basics, impressive, but it just wouldn't have that same character that it has here. Now, obviously, one of the things that's been introduced onto this album, which I really fucking love, is the female vocals. The female vocals are so beautiful, just gorgeous, just serenading, just emotion, just so much emotion in those vocals. Like, this is absolutely incredible. I think it's added just another depth and another wider horizon for Xanthochroid to play around and go that more progressive. Like, He Blessed with Boils was like a bit more of an aggressive, kind of progressive black metal vibe, but with the melodic vibes on there. But this just gives it a bit more of a more symphonic kind of elements, and just gives it that more character to it, that gives Xanthochroid another tool in the toolbox to play with, and it's absolutely amazing. Now, one thing I do enjoy particularly about this album is the harsh vocals. The dude who does the harsh vocals, he does some cleans which are very beautifully executed and harmonised, like barn on perfect with the female singer, and it's on that level of just beautiful. The vibratos just coming from both of them is just absolutely exquisite. But then when the harsh vocals come in, the highs are the main character on the main emphasis on the vocals, on the extreme department, and they sound very unique. They sound very kind of put us in mind of that of Karak Angren, kind of that kind of. It's not like it's dark and like typical black metal sort of sound. It's just like very nasty, wretched kind of style, like screeching kind, and it really adds a lot more to the overall sound that Xanthochroid is going for compared to Blessed He with Boils. Like, I don't know, it just really works. And then when some moments just come up, and then it hits you like towards, I think it's the last track on the album, which is what's it called again? The Sound Which Has No Name. The low vocals on that track, oh my god, they are so monstrous. I absolutely love it. Kind of reminds us, that give us the shivers that like the likes of Emerald Forest and the Blackbird by Swallow the Sun kind of had with me. Those kind of like shivery kind of low vocals, as well as the high shrieky black metal style. It just really adds more. And some great lyrics, fantastic lyrics. I think the musicianship in this band, as I keep on saying, is on another level compared to a lot of bands of today. Like, I feel this band is relatively unknown, and I hope that this album is going to push them to another level and make them just become a bit more known and get them on tour with whoever the fuck they want, you know, like get them to that place, you know. And this album, part 1, is a great start, and we'll have to see what we have in store for part 2. It's been a while. It's been quite a few, about a month maybe or so since I last listened to part 2, so I'm looking forward to getting back into it. I know it's a killer one, and this one's going to conclude part 1, because the next part is the heavier one, and ooh, you're in for a treat with this one. But yeah, for Act 1 of their new album series called Of Erthe And Axen, Act 1. I'm going to give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. Absolutely amazing stuff. Beautiful serenading vocals, epic cinematics, and just overall picturesque. Definitely check out this out if you're into Obliviscaris, Wintersun, and Dimmu Borgir, and Opeth. If you're into those 4 bands, any of them, if any of those pique your interest, definitely check out this band. You will not regret it. So yeah, I'll see you in part 2, and I'll see you until the next video. And remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.